bear.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. Let's see what we do.
Woo.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Boss and the Bear. I'm Jocelyn the Boss.
And I'm the bear.
And we're back here playing Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time since playing. I have to get myself familiar with this. We
Yup.
were just about to finish the big campaign, and I never have to go fishing again.
Thank all the gods and powers
Actually,
that may be
it's
or
been
may not.
relatively painless for me because, like, I'm accustomed to the bullshit. But, like, oh man, the first time I did this, I think this was like one of the first. No, it wasn't. But I remember, like, I spent half an hour on the Emerald Coast level, just fighting so hard to get that stupid frog. Like, all the frustrations of, like, little 14-year-old me.
Aww.
Oh, for fuck's
Little
sake.
baby Jorce.
Oh, yes. Puberty was an interesting time for me. I will just say.
Yeah.
As my parents were getting divorced, all this, like,
Aww.
weird stuff happening in my life. I'm gonna stop talking before I, like, turn this into a therapy session. Hey, look, we're playing Sonic Adventure. It's so goofy and silly.
Yeah, we were chill. We totally had happy childhoods. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think last session we were talking about your traumatic childhood, so...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Just let me...
Speaking of traumatic childhoods, Big, the cat. Wow.
Oh, these particle
a kitty.
effects have not aged well. This is, like, looking really bad on the capture. So, hey, whatever. Dreamcast hardware is, like, 20 years old now.
I love it so much, though.
Yeah.
We had a moment when we started, where we were setting everything up, where it was like, where is that audio feedback coming from? We were, like, turning everything up and down. It's just the sound that the console makes when it turns on.
It's such a fat little thing.
I
I've always loved the design of the Dreamcast.
It's so short and fat, like
it's so small and like barely larger than a disc. It's like it's a little bit bigger than like the new PS1 that they released, and by new I mean like the last model that they released. Like, yeah. And it was like that always struck me as a like hilariously tiny little console, and the Dreamcast always looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
The Chaos Emerald.
I think who was it? I think it was Bob Chapman. Chapman?
Movie Bob.
Movie Bob.
Regardless.
Sorry, Bob. I have your book. I promise.
I don't, and I'm not sorry.
It's a really good book about Mario.
Why are we starting YouTube beefs? we are not big names.
I know.
But whatever.
I just like I love my senpais so much. Sorry,
anyway,
everybody.
you were saying.
Bob was talking about the new Nintendo,
The Switch.
The Switch. In my brain, it's the Nintendo Revolution, like the original name for the Wii.
That's a few consoles old.
Yeah. But he was talking about how the system felt very like insubstantial to him, which was not necessarily a bad thing, but just like it's something to get used to with like the new series of hardware, how everything's getting smaller and smaller. For me, the Sega Dreamcast is like just right. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right.
That's such an interesting point for him to make, because like, I don't know if you've seen an Xbone or a PS4 in person. Those things are clunky as shit.
Yeah, I
Like
believe
these
that.
giant, heavy rectangles of nonsense. And I mean, I'm not faulting them for being poorly designed, but Microsoft has always had kind of a troubling thing with their console designs, if you recall.
Yeah, there's always kind of been
But I totally get it.
about
Like,
that. Yeah.
when I had a BlackBerry before everyone had an iPhone, before I had an iPhone, that thing was light as a feather. And I remember like one of my coworkers who was super into phones was just like, wow, this thing like feels like I could break it with my hands. So like there's something to be said about a device with some heft.
Yeah.
Oh, get you back.
Because like I could understand picking up like something the size of like a smartphone and then being like, this is my entire video game system. Like this and like
for some
a
people that
weird
is
screen
literally
controller.
what it is.
Yeah.
Boopity boop boop. Get some rings.
Oh my gosh. See, this is where you start losing me on the chaos design when it stops being like sleek and elegant, because like
I can't.
that's my shit. You know what I'm saying?
For
Oh
fuck's
my
sake.
god. Oh boy.
Hit.
Hit.
There we go.
Are you joking me?
That is literally
That's
the boss fight. Yeah, you just gotta get it one successful hit. it's made difficult because like you have absolutely no idea where your line's going relative to anything.
Yeah.
Like it tells you the evolution of where your lure's going to hit when it hits that level. So you have to like kind of guess what the arc's going to be. It's really stupid.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
My favorite things in video games are like physics puzzles with bad physics. Where it's just like,
You're checking the time, but there's no point. Like
I know.
we just finished the big campaign.
I'm just like, I like pushing buttons.
That's fine. And like, in fairness, my Twitter's been on fire today, so like the thing that we're using to keep track of this is going to be making a lot of noise.
Booding, booding, booding. Jocelyn's getting in trouble.
I didn't
Not
do
even.
anything. All I did was tweet some pictures of Chef Boyardee and a men's rights activist.
Yeah.
And people love it. So I mean,
Fucking eat that shit. People eat that shit for breakfast. I used to eat that shit for breakfast cold straight out of the can.
you know what?
I still eat that shit
have
for
a-
breakfast cold straight out of the can.
I have a huge fondness for like Bachelor Chow.
Yup.
And like Chef Boyardee falls in this category of foodstuffs. Michelinas as
Yeah.
well.
Like-
Pizza Pops, like
Like
that whole category of food.
student food.
Student food, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Where you're like you pay $1.50 and get like
Mr. Noodles.
it's technically a meal. Mr. Noodles costs costs less than $1.50.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, technically it's a meal, kind of. It's just like the barest minimum of what can be
Probably-
considered
Probably got
mealish.
the salt content of a meal.
But you know what? Like, I kind of love it. Like, I
Yeah.
low-key love that shit. So,
Um,
if you eat Chef Boyardee, I'm a
I'm
supporter
so
of you.
on board with you, friends.
My partner is not.
Aw,
Well, I don't know how she feels about Chef Boyardee in particular, but like, she likes good food.
Yeah.
She doesn't always tolerate my penchant for like cheap crap.
Oh, is that the end of the story?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're back together again. He doesn't have a tail
Yay.
anymore, so they're best buddies.
Aw.
And I still didn't get the best rod, but whatever.
Who gives a bibble? Gabba gabba hey. Fucking sideways. Right. I love
I
making.
mean, I can.
Like,
I'm
yeah.
not going to,
But like, yeah, we've established that. You know, whatever.
We've had this actually on my other thing that I do, my radio show. We were having this conversation about like two women having sex with each other, and how straight men just can't understand that. Like in spite of the proliferation of lesbian porn that exists everywhere, when confronted with real life lesbians, there's a lot of very clueless gentlemen out there who
Yeah.
don't know how it's even possible. And my co-host on the radio show was just like, I just do everything that you do, but better.
But
Because
better.
that is 100% on brand for her, and also
Right.
for me.
Yeah, there's sort of this like, okay, so now apparently we're talking about sex.
Sure, why not?
There's
Big
like,
campaign's over, we're feeling celebratory.
yeah, we're
It's
getting
like
a little
fucking
saucy.
baby boom over here.
It's just like penetration for a lot of women that I know is like the least enjoyable part.
Yep,
And just
I
like
can vouch for that.
and just like it's like very specifically okay, you guys are gonna learn a lot about me and sex.
Here we go.
Very specifically for me, like penetration is A, like the connection with the other person, and B, like it's part of it's more arousing as like an idea of like power play than it is as like an actual sexual act. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you're not turned on by the act of shoving things in your hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
You're turned on by like the connection that it represents and the build up towards something more
Yeah.
intimate, more meaningful.
Yeah.
I totally understand that.
And like, but like the actual, I don't know.
I'm, like,
Ah.
I'm averse to penetration in a lot of forms. Actually,
Yeah.
it's been a conversation I've had to have, with a lot of people that I've been with. But you know what? It's whatever.
Whatever.
Like, the sex that I do have is delightful and wonderful.
I'm certain.
But like it's, and this is the thing that like straights don't understand is like, sex isn't just penetration. It's not just penis and vagina.
It's not like you've lost it once they
and
put their
the
thingy
concept
in the
of
you know
bases
what.
is really interesting for lesbians
Yeah.
too, because like the way that straight people conceptualize bases doesn't really make sense
Mm-hmm.
for lesbians unless like you're specifically applying like strap-ons or whatever.
Which, like, you might not in your sex,
You might not.
right? Like,
But does that mean women have not had sex? Of course not. It's just like it's a very different grading system. Honestly, like, for me, sex is getting off with another person.
yeah.
And
I
whatever
would agree
form
with
that
that.
takes, it can be like just me doing my thing, her doing her thing. It can be me doing her thing. It can be her doing my thing. It could be like a mutual thing. It could be oral. It could be manual. It could be all sorts of things. All of it is sex.
Having had a few long distance relationships throughout my life,
Sonic the Hedgehog, everybody. Woo!
fricking over Skype is still fricking, in my opinion.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Like,
So we're sex positive, in case that
yes, we're very
hasn't
sex
been
positive.
100% clear.
I think that we should. There's a lot of things I think that people should be able to talk about, confidently without
Well,
awkwardness.
I think it's really funny, the standard that gets set in North America, that like violence is considered mostly okay. You can go to like a PG movie and it can be 100 people getting shot with guns or whatever, and like martial arts and all this other forms of violence and gore and whatnot. But the second that you see a nipple, the second you see like some ass cheeks, then suddenly that's what drives the rating up. Which is interesting
Often
to me
very
because I feel
specifically
like,
only from women.
Yeah,
Like, you
that's
can
the
get
other
away
thing,
with
too.
man nips and man butt.
oh, man nips are not even like a
Yeah,
thing
not
that
even a
registers.
thing.
But like, I always found that really interesting because I feel, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel it should be true. A higher percentage of people do sex things than do violence things.
Yes,
Like,
I would
personally,
say most likely.
And I mean, you know, we can have a conversation about BDSM and what that entails in the marriage between violence and sex. But anyway.
Anyway, that's a whole other
So
conversation.
Big the cat, everybody.
Yeah.
And with that,
Big purple
I'm gonna
pussy.
fucking
Yeah, let's
call
just.
this an episode.
Yeah, before we go too hard.
Before we go too hard.
Alrighty.
Coming up next is E102 Gamma. Until next time, I'm Jocelyn the Boss.
And I'm the bear.
Goodbye.
Moms and the bear.